YouTubers, welcome back to the Hobbit book reading series. Today, we are reading chapter 6. So, last chapter, Bilbo escaped the mountain goblins. So, now, we're out of the frying pan into the fire. Bilbo had escaped the goblins, but he didn't know where he was. He had lost hood, cloak, food, pony, his friends, and his fence. He wandered on and on until began to sink westwards behind the mountains. The shadows across Bilbo's path, and he looked back. Then he looked forward, and he could see for him only ridges and slopes, following towards lowlands and plains, glimpse occasionally between the trees. Good heavens! He explained. It seemed to have got right to the other side of the misty mountains, right to the edge of the land beyond. Where can Gandalf and the dwarves got to? I only hope to goodness they're not still back there in the power of the goblins. He still wandered on, out of the little valley, over its edge, and down the slopes beyond. But all the while, a very uncomfortable thought was growing inside him. He wondered whether he ought to, now that he had the Margarine, go back into the horrible tunnels and look for his friends. He had just made his mind up that it was his duty, that he must turn back. A very miserable he felt about it when he heard voices. He stopped and listened. It did not sound like goblins, so he crept forward carefully. He was on a stony path winding downwards with a rocky wall on the left hand. On the other side, the ground sloped away, and there were dwells below the path. Overhead were bushes and low trees. In one of these dwells, under the bushes, people were talking. He kept still nearer, and suddenly he saw peering behind two big boulders ahead with a red hood on. It was Bolin doing lookout. He would have clapped and shouted for joy, but he did not. He saw got the rain on, but fear of meeting something unexpected and unpleasant. And he saw that Bolin was looking at him without noticing him. Look at him. Not a little surprised, he thought. He crawled into the bushes. There's a dwell. Gandalf was arguing with the dwarves. They were discussing all that had happened to them in the tunnels, and wondering, debating what they were to do now. The dwarves were grumbling. And Gandalf was saying they could not possibly go on the journey, leaving Mr. Baggins in the hands of the goblins. Without trying to find out if he was alive or dead. Without trying to rescue him. Not the rule. He is my friend, said the wizard, and not a bad little chap. I'll be responsible for him. I wish to goodness you had not lost him. The doctors want to know why he haven't been bought at all. I could not stick to his friends and come along with them. Why the wizard not chosen someone with more sense? He's been more trouble than you so far, said one. We have got to go back now into those animal tunnels to look for him. Then dress him, I say. Gandalf answered angrily. Uh-oh. Thank you, Gandalf. I bought him. I don't bring things that are of no use. Either you help me look for him, or I go and leave you here to get out of this mess, but you can't yourselves. If we can only find them again, it will take me before it's all over. Whatever did you want to go and drop him for, Dory? You want to drop him, said Dory. The goblin and suddenly grabbed your legs from behind in the dark, tripped up your feet, and kicked you in the back. Then why didn't you pick him up again? Good heavens, can you ask goblins fighting in the dark? Everyone fighting over bodies and hating one another. You nearly took my head off it. Then the rain. I'm putting stabbing here, there, and everywhere. Oh shit. All of a sudden you gave one your flying flashes, and you saw the goblins running back yelling. They shouted, "Follow me, everybody," and they were not to have followed. With what everybody had. It was on turn account. She knew quite well. We had dashed for the gate guards, out the lower door, kept herself down here. And here we are without the big guard. Kate him. And here's the burglar, said Bibble, stepping down to hail them, slipping up the rain. That's me, how they jumped. Then they shouted with surprise and delight. Gandalf was as astonished as any of them, and probably more pleased than all the others. He called to Balin. I told him what he thought of a lookout man who lived people rock right into them like that without warning. This is a fact that Bibble's reputation went up a great deal with the doses after this. They still doubt he's really a first-class burglar. Despite Gandalf's words, he died no longer. Balin was the most puzzled of all. But anyone's idea was a very clever bit to work. Indeed, Bibble was so pleased with their praise that he just chuckled inside and said nothing whatever about the rain. When they asked him how he did, he said, "Oh, just crept along. You know, very carefully and quietly." Well, it is the first time that even the mouse has crept along carefully and quietly under the very nose, and not been spotted, said Balin. Now I take your hood off to you. What you did. Balin, at your service, said he. Your servant, Mr. Baggins, said Bibble. Then they wanted to know all about his adventures after they had lost him. I sat down and told him everything, except finding the rain. Not just now, I thought. They were particularly interested in the riddle competition and showed most patiently his description of Goblin. Then I couldn't think of any other question with him sitting beside me and the Bibble. So I said, "What's in my pocket?" And he couldn't guess in 3 goes. So I said, "What about your promise?" Show me the way out. When he came when he came at me to kill me, and I ran, fell over, and he missed me in the dark. Then I followed him, as I heard him talking to himself. He thought I really knew the way out, but he was making for it. Then he sat down in the entrance, and I could not get by, so I jumped over him and escaped, and ran down to the gate. "What about the guards?" he asked. "They there?" "Oh, yes, lots of them, but I dodged them. I got stuck in the door, which was only open a crack, and I lost lots of buttons," said Sally, looking in circles. "But I squeezed the..." "Well, all right, and here I am." The Dorses were looked at him with a quite new respect. He talked about dodging guards, jumping over Gollum, and squeezing you. It was not very difficult or very alarming. "What did I tell you?" said Gandalf, laughing. And Mr. Baggins says more about him than you guess. He gave Bibble a queer look from under his bushy eyebrows. She said this, and Hobbit wondered if he guessed at the part. Still, he left out. Then he had questions of his own to ask. Wait for if Gandalf had doing it all by now to the Dorses. Bibble had not heard. He wanted to know how the wizard turned up again, and where they all got to now. The wizard, to tell the truth, never mind explained his cleverness more than once. So now he told Bibble that Wolfie and Harold had been very aware of the presence of evil goblins in that part of the mountains. When the main gate used to come out on different paths, one more easy to travel by. So they often caught people delighting near the gates. Eventually, people were not going that way. The goblins must open a new entrance on top the pass the Dorses are digging. Quite easily, because they've been found quite safe up till now. I must see if I can't find more or less decent giant to block it up again, said Gandalf. Or soon there will be no gain over the mountains at all. Soon as Gandalf had heard Bibble's yell, he realized what had happened. The flash was killed the goblins that were grabbing him, and dipped inside the crack as his had snapped too. No, not to the drivers and prisoners, right to the edge of the great hall. And there he sat down and worked out the best magic he could in the shadows. Very ticklish business it was, he said, touch and go. But of course Gandalf had made a special study, which meant with fire and lights. Even the hobbit and I haven't gotten a magic fire as adult Tuck's midsummer parties, as you remember. And as we all know, except that Gandalf knew all about the back door, as the goblins called the lower gate. My Bilbo lost his one. It's a matter of fact. It was well known to anybody was acquainted with this part of the manse. They took a wizard, they gave his head in the tunnels, and guided them in the right direction. They made the gates ages ago, he said. Partly for a way of escape, they needed one. But partly of a way out to the lands beyond, where they still come in the dark and do great damage. They guard it always, and no one has ever managed to block it up. They were guarded doubly to death, he laughed. All the others left too. After all, they had lost a great deal, but they had killed the great goblin and a great many others besides, and they all escaped. So they might be said to have the best of it so far. But the wizard called them to their senses. We must honestly gain on at once. And that we are a little rested, he said. They'll be out after us in hundreds when night comes on. And already shadows are lengthening, like a smell of footsteps for hours and hours after we have passed. And we must be miles on before dusk. There'll be a bloody moon, the gate's fine, and that is lucky. Not that they mind the moon much, but it gives us a little light to steer by. Oh yes, is that an answer to more questions from the hobbit. We lost this track of time in goblin tunnels. Today's Thursday. And with Monday night Monday night at Tuesday morning, they'll be recaptured. We've gone miles and miles. And come right down through the heart of the manse. And now on the other side. Right a shortcut. And we are not at the point where to reach our what about us? We are too far to the north. We have some aqua country ahead. We are still pretty high up. Let's get on. I'm definitely hungry, moaned Bibble. I was suddenly aware he had not had the meal since the night before last. Just thinking that for a hobbit. His stomach felt empty and loose, and its legs all lubberly. And then the segment was over. Can't help it, said Gandalf. I should like to go back and ask the goblins nicely to let you have your pony back in your luggage. No, thank you, said Bibble. Very well then. We, mu- we must just tighten our belts and threads on, or we shall be made into supper, and that will be very much worse than having none ourselves. As they went on, Bibble looked from side to side for something to eat, but the berries were still only in flour. And of course there were no nuts, not even hawthorn berries. He nibbled a bit of scramble, and he drank from a small mountain stream across the path, and he ate even strawberries that he found on his bank. It was not much good. They still went on and on. The rough path disappeared. The bushes and wild grasses between the boulders, the patches of rabbit, chopper, and rye and sage and to around. And the yellow knocks roses all finished and themselves at the top. Right. Right, steep slope upon stones. The remains of a landslide. When they began to go down this, rubbish and small pebbles rolled away from their feet. Then still larger bits of spit stone came clattering down, started little pieces below them splintering and rolling. The lumps of rock were disturbed, rounded off, crashing down with dust like dust and noise. Hold on, the whole slope above them and below them seemed on the move. They were sliding away, all held together, and fearful confusion of slipping, rattling, cracking stops and stones. It was the trees at the bottom that saved them. They slid into the edge of a line with the pines that here stood right up the mountain slope and deeper like a crevices on the valleys below. Some called other trunks and swan. Delves into lower branches, some like the little hobbit. Got behind a tree to shelter from the slant of the rocks. Soon the danger was over. The slide had stopped, and the last faint crashes could be heard. The largest of the disturbed stones went mounting and spinning along the bracket, and pirates far below. Help! That got us on a bit, said Gandalf. Even goblins tracking us will have a job to come down here quietly. Well, I dare say, good no, but but they won't find it difficult. The sandstones pounding down their heads. The dose is invisible. Being far from happy. We're rubbing abuse and damaged legs and feet. No chance, we're gonna turn side here and on the path of the slide. We must be quick. Look at the light. The sun had gone down. Long gone down. The sun had long gone down behind the mountains. Already the shadows were deep about them. And all far away through the trees and over the backtops on those going lower down, they could still see the even lights of the plains beyond. They limped along now as fast as they were able to, down the gentle slopes of the pine forest. The slanting path leads they southwards. At times they were pushing through a sea back in the tall fronts. Nice and high at the hobbit's head. At times they were marching along, squared over a floor of pine needles. On the wall of forest gloom got heavier, the forest and deeper. There was no wind that evening to bring even a sea sighing into the branches of the trees. Must we go on, father? Asked Bibble. When it was so dark he could hardly see Warland's beard lying inside him. And so quiet he could hear the voices making like a loud noise. My tools are low. There's a bent. And leg take, and my stomach is waggling like an empty sack. A bit further, said Gandalf. At the what seemed his father. Something came to an opening with no trees grew. The moon was up and shining into the clearing. Somehow it struck all of them as not an all nice place, although there was nothing around to see. All of a sudden they heard a howl way down the hill, a long, shuddering howl. A dancing lion led away to the right, a good deal nearer to them. Then, another not far way to the left, there was wolves howling at the moon. Wolves gathering together. There were no wolves near Mr. Beckett's home at home, but he knew that noise. He had described it to him often enough in tales. One of his other cousins on the Took side, who had been a great traveler, used to imitate it, fraying him. To hear it out in the forest under the moon was too much for Bibble. Even magic means were not much use against wolves, as against the evil packs that lived under the shadow of the goblin-infested mountains. Over the edge of the wild, and the blades at unknown, wolves of that sort smell keener than goblins. I do not need to see you to catch you. What shall we do? What shall we do? He cried. Escaping goblins may be caught by wolves, he said. Hold there. Though we now say out of the frying pan and into the fire. That's the name of the chapter, guys. And the scene saw it as uncomfortable situations. Up the trees! Quick! Cried Gandalf. They ran to the trees at the head of the glade, hunting for those branches very low, on a slender enough to warm up. They found them as quick as they ever could. You can guess. And up they went as high as they ever could. Trust the branches. You would have laughed and see the distance if you had. He does this. Sitting up in the trees with the beards dangling down. The gold gentleman concrete behind the beam blaze. Beanie and Kitty were at the top of a tall that an enormous Christmas tree. Dory, Noi, and Golden were more comfortable than used pine with regular benches. Sticking out at intervals like the spokes of a wheel. Wheelfla, bummer, bumber, and put in with another. All in Donlin, as warmed up a tall, slender fir with a few branches and trying to find a place to sit in the green leaves at the top of the most sprouts. Gandalf was a good deal taller than the others, and found a tree into which they could not climb. A large pine standing at the very edge of the glen. He was quite hidden in his brothers, for you could see his eyes gleaming in the moments he peered out. And Bibble, he could not get into any tree, and scuffling around the trunk, like a rabbit that has lost his soul and has a dog after it. You had left the plugger behind the annoying to Dory looking down. I'll get your legs beat. I am regulars on my back, said Dory. Look, downtown is up trees. What do you think I am, Potter? You'll be eaten if we don't do something, said Flynn. And they were howls all around him now. Hey, near. Dory! He called, for Dory was lowest than in the easiest tree. Be quick and give Mr. Beckins a hand up. Dory was really a decent fellow despite his grumbling. Boy Bill could not raise his hand even when he climbed down to autumn branch and hunt his arm down as far as he could. So Dory actually climbed out of the tree and Bill scrambled up and sat on his back. Just at that moment, the wolves trotted handling into the clearing. All of a sudden, there were hundreds of eyes looking at them. So Dory did not let Bibble down. He waited till he had scrambled off his shoulders into the branches. Then he jumped for the branches himself, just in time. And whoop! Snapped at his cloak as he swung up and nearly got him. In a minute, there was a whole pack of them yelping around the tree, leaping up at the trunk. The ice blazing. Can't say now. And even the wild dogs what's all the evil wolves over the edge of the wild when cannot climb trees. All the time they would say, luckily it was warm and not windy. Trees are not very comfortable to sit in on at any time. When the cold and the wind would wolves all around 9 feet below rainfield, they can be perfectly invisible pieces. This great in the range of trees was generally a mean place of the wolves. More and more kept coming in. I left guards at the foot of the tree. In which the people were. Then went snuffing around till they smelt that every tree that had anyone in it. These they got to. Well, all the rest, hundreds and hundreds it seemed. Went inside the great circle on the glade. In the middle of the circle was a great grey wolf. He looked at them in a dreadful language of the wags. Gandalf understood it. People did not, and it sounded terrible to him. And as if all their talk was about cruel, wicked things, as it was, every now and then all the works in the circle would enter the great chief altogether, and a dreadful clamour, almost like a hobbit fall out of his pine tree. I will tell you what Gandalf heard though. People did not understand it. Orcs and goblins often help one another in wicked deeds. Goblins do not usually venture very far from their mountains, unless they are driven out and are looking for new homes, and are marching to war, which I am glad to say has not happened for a long time. But who knows? They sometimes used to go on raids, especially to get food or slaves to work for them. Then they often got the wargs to help and share the plunder with them. Sometimes they rode on wolves like men do on horses. Now it seemed that a great goblin raid had been planned for that very night. The wargs had gone to meet the goblins, and the goblins were late. The reason, no doubt, was the death of the great goblin. No excitement caused for the dozers and Bilbo, and the wizard, whom they were probably still hunting. In spite of the dangers of this fought land, bold men had of late been making their way back to it from the south, cutting down trees and finding themselves places to live in, was the more pleasant woods in the valleys on the river shores. There were many of them. They were even well armed, and even the wargs dared not attack them. They were many together on the bright day. But now they had planned with the goblins' help to come by night upon some of the villages near the mountains. If the plan had been carried out, there would have been none left the next day. All would have been killed except a few of the goblins kept from the wolves. carried back as prisoners to the caves. This was dreadful thought to listen to, not only because of the bright woodsmen, the wives and children, but also because of the danger that now threatened Gandalf and his friends. The wargs tried anything puzzled to find them here in their very meeting place. They thought they were friends of the woodsmen and come to spy on them and take news of their plans down into the valleys. Then the goblins and wolves will have to fight in terrible battles to catching prisoners, blind people. But suddenly, when they sleep, so the wargs and no one attention them, going away and letting the people up the trees escape. At any rate, not until morning. Long before that, they said, goblin soldiers will be coming down the mountains. Goblins can climb trees or cut them down. Now, you can understand why Gandalf, listening to the rattling, yelping, began to be fully afraid. Wizard though he was, and feel they were in a very bad place, and not yet escaped at all. All saying they were not going to let them have it all their own way. But he could not do much, stuck up in the tall tree, also all around the ground below. He had the huge pinnacles, branches of the tree, and he set one alight with blue fire. Listening down on the circle of the wolves. He struck one in the back, immediately Shaggy caught fire, and was sleeping to and fro, yelping horribly. Then another came and another, one in blue flames, one in red, another in green. They burst onto the ground, in the middle of the circle, and went off in colored sparks and smoke. Especially a large one hit the chief wolf on the nose. He leaped to the air 10 feet, and rushed ran around the circle, baying, stabbing at even the other wolves in this hanging fight. The dozens and invisibles chatted and cheered. The blades of the wolves were terrible to see, and commotion they made although the forest. Those are afraid at all times. But this was a most terrible and uncanny fire. When a spark got on to the closest, stuck and burned into them. And unless they rolled over quickly, they were all soon in flames. Wolves are afraid of fire at all times, but this was the most horrible and uncanny fire. The spark got into their coats, so stuck and burned into them, and unless they rolled over quick, they were all soon in flames. They soon all about the great wolves were rolling over and over to put out the sparks on their backs. While those who were burning were ran around howling, saying that was the light until no friends chased them away. They fled down the slopes, crying and yapping and looking for water. "What is all this uproar in the forest tonight?" said Lord of the Eagles. He was sitting back in the moonlight on the top of a lonely high kind of rock at the eastern edge of the mountains. "I hear wolves' voices of the goblins and mischief in the woods." He sucked up into the air and immediately two of his guards from the rocks at the other hand leaped up to follow him. They circled up in the sky, looked down upon the rain legs. A tiny spot far below. But eagles have keen eyes and can see small things at a great distance. Lord of the Eagles of the Misty Mountains had eyes that could look at sun unblinking and could see a rabbit moving along on the ground right below even the moonlight. Although he could not see the people in the trees, he could make out the commotion on the lows see with tiny flashes of fire, and he had the howling and yelping of fate from far behind him, from far beneath him. Also, he could see the glint of the moon, goblin spears and helmets, as long lines of the wicked folk kept down the hillsides and the gate into the wood. Eagles are not cunning birds. Some are cowardly and cruel, but the ancient race of the northern lands were the greatest of all birds. They are proud and strong and noble-hearted. They do not love goblins or feed them. When they took any notice of them at all, was solemn, but they did not eat such creatures. They took on them and loved them, sneaking back to their caves, and solved whatever wickedness they were doing. The goblins hated the eagles and feared them, but could not reach their lofty seats or drive them from the mountains. Night, the Lord of the Eagles was filled with curiosity to know what was afoot. So he summoned many other eagles to him when they flew away from the mountains, and slowly circling ever around, they came down towards the reign of the wolves and the mean place of the goblins. A very good thing too. Dreadful things have been going on down there. Wolves that had caught fire and fled into the forest and set the light in several places. It was high summer, and on this eastern side of the mountains there had been very little rain. It was high summer, and on the eastern side of the mountains there had been little rain for some time. Yellow bracken, golden branches, deep piled pine needles, and here their trees were soon in flames. All around the crane of the large fire was leaping up. But the wolf guards did not light the trees. Tired and angry, they were leaping and handling around the trunks, catching the doses in their hobbit language. The tongues hanging out and the eyes shining as red as fierce the flames. Then suddenly goblins came running up yelling. They thought the battle with the woodsman was going on, but they soon learned what had really happened. Some of them, as they sat down, laughed. Others waved their spears and clasped the shafts against their shields. Goblins are not afraid of fire. And they still had a plan, but which to them most amusing. Some got all those together in a pack. Tongues set burn and bushwood around the tree trunks. Others rushed around and tumbled and bit and beat and dimpled till nearly all the flames were put out. But they did not put out the fire nearest to the trees where the dozers were. That fire they fed with leaves, dead branches, and bacon. Then they had a rain of smoke and flame, all none dozers. The rain was rained outwards, while those suddenly in till the running fire was thinking piled underneath the trees. Look was in Bibble's eyes. I could feel the heat of the flames. And literally he could see the goblins. Dancing around and around the circle, like people around a midsummer bonfire. Inside the ring of dancing warriors, with spears and axes, stood the wolves at a respectful distance, watching and waiting. You hear the goblins shrieking a horrible song. 15 bullets and 5-foot trees. The feathers were flamed, fanned in the fiery breeze. My funny little birds, I had no wings. Oh, what shall we do with the funny little things? Most of my life is leave them in the pot, fry them, boil them, and eat them hot. Then they stop and shout out, fly away, little birds! Fly away if you can! Come down, little birds, or you get roasted in this. Sing, sing, little birds! Oh, why don't you sing? Go away, little boy, shouted Gandalf in answer. This isn't bird nesting time. Also, naughty little boys that play with fire get punished. He said to make them angry and to show them he was not fighting them. But, of course, he was. Wizard though he was. They took no notice and went on saying, Fun, bone, tree, and fun. Civil and school, it rains torch. So light the night for a delay. Yeah, hey! Lick them, toast them, fry and roast them. The blades are blaze and night geese, till the air smells and skin crack. Fat melts and bones black. And sin is nigh. We need the sky. Those make die. And let the light for a delay. Yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, ho. But they get ho. The flames were under Gandalf's tree. No moment is better as the bark caught fire. No, and it's cracked. Then Gandalf climbed to the top of his tree. The sun, splendor, flashed from his wand, like lightning, so he got ready to coming down from on high right among the spears of the goblins. It would have been the end for him, although he probably would have killed many of them. They came hurling down like a thunderbolt, and he never left. Just at that moment, one of the eagles swept down from above, seized him in the talons, and was gone. There was a howl of anger and surprise in the goblins. Loud fed the Lord of the Eagles, to whom Gandalf had now spoken. Back slept the great birds with them, and down they came like huge black shadows. Those yelped, gnash their teeth. The goblins yelled and stippled in rage, and flung their heavy spears in the air in vain. Over them swooped the eagles. The dark rush at their 18 wings looked down to the floor and drove them far away. The giants tore goblin faces. Other birds flew to the treetops, seized the doses, were now scrambling up as far as they dared to go. Poor little Bubble was nearly left behind again, and he just managed to catch hold of Dory's legs. And Dory was blown off. Last of all, and up they went together above the trumpet and rain. Bibble swinging in the air with his arms nearly breaking. Now far below, the goblins and the wolves were scanning flying right into the woods. The eagles were still circling and sweeping about the battleground. The flames about the trees rained suddenly up above the highest branches. They ran up in crackling fire. There was a sign of furious sparks and smoke. The bullet came only just in time. Soon the light of the burning was right below, a red twinkle on the black floor, and they were high up in the sky, rising all the time, some sweeping circles. People never forgot that fight, laying under Dory's ankles. You know, millions, but Dory got my poor legs. And best of times, nights made Bibble giddy. I used to check for you if you looked over the ledge of a quite little cliff. And you never liked ours. Unknown trees. Never had escaped from wolves before. So you can imagine as head swam now as he looked down between his dangling toes and dark lands opening wide beneath him. Touched here and there with the light of the moon, the hillside rock on the stream in the plains. The pale peaks of the mountains were coming near. Moonlit spikes sticking out of black shadows. Summer or not, it seemed very cold. He shut his eyes and wondered if he could hold on any longer. Can you imagine what would happen if he did not? He felt sick. The flight ended only just in time for him, just before his arms gave away. He loosened Dory's ankles with a gasp and fell onto the rough platform of the eagle's eye. They ate without speaking, and the sauce were a mixture of surprise and being saved by the fire. Very each full loaf, they now placed into deep shells on each side. It was really quite very clear. Jean's head by this time, after the dreadful adventures of the last 3 days, with next to nothing to eat, and found of saying aloud, "Now I know what a piece of bacon is when it's suddenly picked out of the pan on a fork and put back on the shelf." "No, you don't," I had told the Anthony. Else the bacon knows that it will get back into the pan sooner or later, and it is hoped we can't. Those are eagles on folks. "Oh no, not really. Folks, I mean," the Bibble sitting up, looking anxiously at the eagle who was perched close by. Wonder what other nonsense he'd been saying. Or the eagle thinking rude. You ought not to be rude to an eagle. But you're only the size of the hobbit. And up in this day and night. The eagle only struck in his beak on the stone, and turned his head and took no notice. Soon another eagle flew up. The Lord of the Eagles bid you to bring your presents to the great shelf, he cried, and was off again. That was ceased delaying his claws and flew away with him. Tonight, leaving Bibble all alone. And yet, no saint to wonder what the messenger made by prisoners. And the thing of being torn off for supper but at it when his own turn came. The eagle came back, seized him in his talons, and back of the skull and swooped off. This time he only flew a short way. Right and Bibble was laid down, trembling with fear. A light shelf of rock on the men's side. There was no half down onto it, saved by flying, and no path down it except jumping over each piece. Then he found all the others, even the backs to the mountain wall. The Lord of the Eagles was also there and was speaking to Gandalf. It seems that Bibble was not going to be in it after all. The wizard and the eagle lord appeared to know one another. Side 8. And even to be bending times. And as a matter of fact, Gandalf will often been in the mountains. One's render service to eagles, and the other lord from Ireland. The prisoners met prisoners rescued by goblins only. And I kept this at the eagles. As people listened to the talk of Gandalf, he realized that as they were going to escape, really and truly from the dreadful menace. His disgusting plans with the great eagle for the carrying doses in himself and Bibble far away, and then down, well, the journey past the plains below. The Lord of the Eagles would not take them anywhere near men live. They will shoot at us with the great so yip, he said. And for they would think we were after the sheep. And other times they would believe, no, we're glad to cheat the goblins out of this spot. I'm glad to repay our thanks to you. But when not next herself and does this. in the Devil Plains. Leave us, Gandalf. Take us away and as far as you will. We'll be deep in obliged to you. But in the meantime, we are famished with hunger. Only a dead foot of it, said Bibble in the weak little voice and nobody heard. That perhaps be mended, said Lord Eagles. Hang on, you might have seen a bright fire on the shelf of rock, and the figures of doses, planning cooking, and making a fine dust and smell. The eagles have brought up nuts for fuel. They brought rabbits, hares, and small sheep. The doses raised all the preparations. Bibble was too weak to help. And anyway, he was not much good at skinning rabbits or cutting up meat. He used to having it delivered by the butcher, all ready to cook. Gandalf too was lying down after doing this part, soon time going. Then slurring, I lost it in the boxes. Those are not taking the matches even yet. So, and in the adventures of Misty Man, soon Bibble's stomach was feeling full and comfortable again. And felt he could sleep contentedly, although really, he would have liked a loaf and butter better than bits of meat, toasted on sticks. As I curled up on her rug, more sadly than he ever had in his feather bed, the little hole at home. But all night he dreamed of his own house and wandered in his sleep into all his different rooms looking for something that he could not find or remember what it looked like. So that is chapter 6, guys. Next week, end of April, we are looking at chapter 7, Queer Lodgings. Goodbye.